When you do something, you don't get to control the consequences. You don't want to wait for motivation. See, action creates motivation. Hey, Determined Destiny family, it's Coach Kevin coming back at you with this week's video. It's that time again for us to jump on in to helping our young people get more determined about their destiny, make better decisions, and be in control of their emotions. Hey, this week we're talking about taking responsibility and the importance of being able to take responsibility when you're doing something wrong, because it will develop you as a leader. Take responsibility when you're doing something right, or you just have something that you need to get done. You have to take responsibility for that, because that's how you get the best product out of that. So I want to share with you a time when I was mentoring a young man, and I was an assistant principal at the time, and I was mentoring a young man, and I had poured in probably 3 years of work, probably 3 to 4 years of work with this young man. And I had seen the growth and development in him from being an angry kid in 6th or 7th grade to a more mature young man in 10th grade who was really determined to turn his life into something. And the issue was, it was after school and they were waiting on the bus. It was after football practice, and somebody had said something to him about a girl, and he didn't like that. So he decides to let his ego take charge of the situation. And you know what I mean. When chests get puffed up and you said, what? No, you didn't. You better not be talking about my girl, and this and that, and all those things kind of happen. And bam. He hit the dude, but that wasn't just the big problem. He hit the dude, and the dude hit something, a pillar in the front that he hit his head on, and the dude passed out. Now we got a big problem. And so my young man, who I was mentoring, takes off. Him and his friends take off. And of course, there's several people around. The other assistant principal was down the way. And, you know, he comes and they react and they get things taken care of. But then they call me because they knew I was working with the young man. And they say, hey, so-and-so has did this and he's got in trouble and we need to find him. Of course, I call his mom immediately and say, hey, this is what has happened. And we need to figure out where he's at and what's going on. And, you know, long story short, I get on the phone with him and I'm asking him what happened. And he's not taking responsibility for his part in that. He's simply blaming the other guy. Well, he said this and he got in my face and he this, he that. And I said, whoa. I'm not asking you what he did. I want to know what you did. You know, it clicked in my head when he was saying all of that. He's not taking responsibility for his part in this. So I had to stop him and say, what did you do? And we got through that story. And I said, the problem is when you come in to talk to us tomorrow, you have to own your part of that. That's leadership. That's how you overcome your mistakes, by you owning your part in that incident. And he got that. And so when he came in, and I didn't deal with his case, another administrator dealt with his case, and he was able to say, I did this. I was wrong. I'll take full responsibility. I accept my consequences. And they were not good consequences. There was nothing we could do about that, because his actions, and this is taking responsibility, when you do something, you don't get to control the consequences. The consequences are what they are. And so to be mindful, we have to be mindful. We have to teach our young people to be mindful about the things that we're doing, because we're going to have to give an account for that, take responsibility for that. And the consequences are not always within our control, but that's leadership. But the attitude that you take, the effort that we put in, and the response that we have to that, those are the things that we do have control of. And we have to make sure that we got the right attitude. We put in the right effort to be honest, truthful, take responsibility, and that our response to that is humble and one that allows us to learn from it. And that was the important takeaway. What could you learn from that? And so he did his consequences, came back and restored his reputation, because that was something that we were big on. You have to get restored in that process. You have to be able to own your actions and make things right with the other person and make things right with your community. And he was able to do that, went on, had a successful career, graduated high school with no problem, and went on to college and did some great things. And to this day, that is still conversation that we have around taking responsibility for your part in whatever happens. See, that's a key thing for our young people today, for them to understand that if we're going to have a culture shift in American society, in this world society, we have to have individuals who are willing to take responsibility for their actions. So, I'm Coach Kevin. This is Determined Destiny. The lesson for this week is teach our young people to take responsibility for their actions. And we'll do that by holding them accountable, not letting them off the hook, making them admit when they're wrong, telling them when we're giving them a task, this is your task. You are responsible for making this thing happen the way that it needs to happen. And when we have those conversations, then they internalize that ownership and can be better people. Hey, I'm Coach Kevin. Let's help our young people get determined.